Welcome to another installment of Test Chamber. I'm Matt Miller. I am joined by Wade Wojcik.
Hello.
How's it going, man?
Good. I'm really excited.
Well, we are looking right now at the new menu screen, or front-end screen, rather, for Destiny the Taken King.
Oh, yeah.
When you turn on Destiny now, this is what you see. Whether you have the Taken King or not, there's a pretty clear signal here from Bungie that things are moving forward, and it's time to, see some new content. Because today we're checking out Destiny 2.0. This is the stuff that is not... it's not the actual new missions and strikes and all that kind of good stuff that's coming with the Taken King, but rather it's sort of like the container that all those new quests are going to fit into. But there's a lot to talk about. It's some of the stuff that we've talked a lot about during our cover story coverage last month. We discussed all sorts of changes that are coming to the Destiny universe, but we want to go in depth today now that it's live. So let's dive on in. All right, we have logged in. I've logged in with my Titan here, and the first thing I'm greeted with, it's Wednesday, and so we're getting to look at Arms Day information here. This is telling us about the new thing going on with Banshee, the weaponsmith in the tower, where you can go try out weapons for him. They're basically like these new bounties that we can grab from him. Try out weapons, gain reputation with the gunsmith, and then that eventually leads to enough rep that we can order really good weapons, because the ones you're testing out are just kind of, normal white weapons as far as I've been told. Cool. But once you're repped up, you can kind of, you can order stuff so that the next Wednesday, the next Arms Day, you can get a really cool weapon.
Is that like a purple or a green?
Supposedly it's supposed to be a purple, but I don't know for sure. But we can take a look here a little bit. Even here up in orbit, there's some new things. There's a mix of both old and new music going on. But there's also an opportunity now for us to look at the new character screen, which at first glance doesn't look all that different, but you'd be wrong about that.
The chess piece is so cool.
Yeah, I like that. I love the crest of Alpha Lupi here. So let's talk about some of the things that are different. Right off the bat, you are now I am now level 34. I cannot progress to level 35 yet because that opportunity does not open up until the Taken King releases on the 15th. However, all players can now get to level 34, and you get there naturally. In other words, there's no light system or gear you need to get that's barring your progress. Right. You just go get XP and progress. Your Grimoire score has now moved to directly below your level. And this is your indication of all the Grimoire cards that you found. It used to be up on your emblem up here, and instead, below your level, you now have your light value. As you can see, it's 143 on this guy right now, and that's really determining your overall power for your character. And rather than that light being based just on these 4 items, they are now based on 10 distinct items across your character screen. Your weapons, your 3 weapons, your ghost shell, again, your 4 armor pieces, your class item, and artifacts.
Which is not unlocked yet.
Artifacts unlock at level 40. Each of these different things has a value on it. And if you had maxed out weapons or armor, those numbers have been crunched down, so they're 170 now. So that's the highest you can get with a sort of year 1 item. So Oversoul Edict, really great pulse rifle from the Crotus End raid. It's at 170. Solid starting weapon, but it's not going to carry you through the rest of the content that's on the way in the Taken King. You're going to be getting new blues and purples and eventually new exotics that far out-level this 170.
And from what I understand, as soon as you start the Taken King, you'll essentially be unlocking weapons that are like blues, or not, they're greens even, and they have like higher damage than that.
That's the idea anyway. You'll note that the capped out armor pieces are at that same value. They've sort of normalized everything together so that there's an equality between armor and weapons. 170 armors are about as good as 170 weapons, right? And just like with weapons, you're going to be starting to get new greens, blues, purples that will help you improve and kind of start you over that process of like gearing up your character.
Wow, that's a lot of cool helmets. And I'm noticing some Osiris gear.
Yeah, I've got some Osiris gear. I mean, this is a character who I've spent a lot of time with over the last 12 months, and basically all the stuff that he currently has. Although I'll hold on to some of the old favorites. Come September 15th, a lot of the stuff is just going to be largely obsolete. And contrary to some of the players online, this is just my personal opinion, but I'm excited about that. I've played as much as I want to with a lot of this gear, and I've looked at my character looking the same way for a long time, and I love how he looks, but I'm ready for something different.
Yeah.
And so I'm kind of okay with the idea that there's going to be a switch over and that some of this stuff is going to become obsolete. Some of the exotics are carrying over into year 2 versions that I can create, which we'll talk about when we get to the tower. But there's some other things here that are worth noting. Before we get off the idea of light value, it should be noted that it's all an average, right? So the 170, the 170, the 170, there's a lot of 170s here, but I also have a 30 for my Titan mark. And let's see, here's something that's better. The Mark of the Hidden, or even better, Thalor's Golden Maul, is at 135 defense. So watch what happens when I equip this to my light. It immediately goes up because it's taking that average across all 10 items and seeing that, like, oh, I'm a little higher. I also, because I had the old collector's edition that launched at the very beginning of Destiny's life cycle, I have the Frontier Shell, which is one of the only other ghost shells that you can have right now, right? And so you can look, and the generalist white shell that everybody has is here. But the Frontier Shell actually does have the opportunity to have some cool stuff on it. And in fact, it's one of the only year 1 things that I've come across that includes the infusion option, which is going to let me, later on when I get other ghost shells, I could infuse their power into the Frontier Shell and continue to level it up.
That's cool.
Which is pretty neat.
Yeah.
But right now, it's 3 defense, which is not so great.
Yeah, you can buy ghost shells from the speaker, I believe, that have higher than that.
You can. I've looked into it a little bit, but a lot of them you can buy, but you can't use yet because they're locked to like level 36.
Oh, yeah.
Another thing that's interesting it's going on is intellect, discipline, and strength have all changed around a little bit. They're now on tiers. And you're basically not going to see a reduction in the time for your supers or your grenades or your melees until you cross a certain tier threshold. So I'm at tier 1 with intellect, tier 1 with discipline, but I'm at tier 0 with strength. So it's basically not doing anything for me. The cooldown is just set at 1 minute. Whereas like here, because I'm at tier 1, it's brought it down to 55 seconds. So this is a kind of a big change if you think about it, but it also allows you to think about how you're structuring your gear layout, right? It's not worthwhile to put on a helmet that's going to get you to just below tier 1.
Right.
If you have some other way that you could put on a helmet that would get something else up above a tier, right? And so it adds this new layer of tactical thinking of like, how do I gear out my character?
Yeah, I love that because before I really didn't know how it affected my traits.
I don't think anybody did. You had this sense that there was like, oh, well, I've got 75%. But what does that mean?
Yeah.
You know that it's reducing the time that you have before you can use that particular power again, but you don't know by how much.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big change. Let's take a look down here, though, and see some other things that have changed over. Most significantly, we see that there's some stuff that's kind of been moved around, but we now have this emote thing. This is what's going to be mapped. There's just one, I think it's the left on the D-pad, that you can select the emote. Your other emote on up, right, and down, those other emotes are still kind of whatever they normally are.
Sit, wave, and dance.
But when I get other emotes, I'll be able to equip those onto the left D-pad and do fun new things. Another thing we can take a look at, though, this is a huge deal, although it doesn't look like it if you look at it just at first glance. This is the quest page. Quest page is going to be where pretty much all the content is organized about what you're doing, how you're going to go do it, what your next step is. And these are things that I can actually track now. So because we're in this weird in-between week between when 2.0 launches and when Taken King comes out, there's not a lot to do. I've leveled this character all the way through the content. He's already done the main story missions that exist, so he doesn't have those quests right now. But he does have these, which are the this is a specific subclass quest that I can go to Zavala, the Titan Vanguard mentor, and learn some more about the Defender and do some sort of almost kind of passive quests that I'm going to be involved in.
Yeah, I like that because it kind of makes you interact more with your class, mentor.
Absolutely. And those characters are much more fleshed out this time, as I think people will discover once the Taken King launches next week. Mm-hmm. Should also take a quick second to look at the new director, which is totally kind of remixed in some cool ways. There's some more locations now. The reef has moved over here instead of its sort of central previous location. All the planets kind of look a little smaller because they're making room for more things. Mm-hmm. You see here, there's the Taken King stuff. We can't watch the cinematic yet because this particular account does not have Taken King purchased yet. But if I go here, it'll tell me and give me the option to purchase and enter the codes. And then that would let me watch the Prelude cinematic. And presumably, eventually, it looks like there's a big space right here for a thing.
For a thing.
We can also see that the Crucible playlist has changed a little bit, most significantly with the addition of Rift as a regular gameplay mode. This is the new, kind of like some people have compared it to Capture the Flag. It's a little different from that, but it is a sort of objective-focused gameplay style. And this week we also have Control, Clash, Skirmish, Salvage, which is entered as an all-the-time game mode. And Rumble that are all here. There's ones that aren't here right now. Things like Mayhem, I think is not currently in. That's one of the other new game modes.
The game mode where you constantly have your super.
Yes. Presumably that should be in sometime this week, but I have not seen it yet if it is here. Unless it shows up. Maybe I haven't seen it. If you go into one of these other modes, it can kind of be a modifier. Mm-hmm. So maybe there's like Mayhem going on in one of these other ones. But that's what's going on in the Crucible playlist. Vanguard has similarly changed.
This is interesting. There's low-level strikes, but not any high-level ones you can do.
No, not yet. Right now, there's the Vanguard Legacy thing, which is basically just, I want to go play old strikes. Or, for right now, I want to play the strikes that I've been playing.
Right, just for the heck of it.
Just for the heck of it. And it's going to match you appropriately with people who are at your level. Mm-hmm. There's also going to be two other options, though. Ways to play Taken King strikes and ways to play heroic Taken King strikes, I believe. Or actually, I don't know that for sure if it's just heroic Taken King strikes or if heroic strikes will also bring you in some year one stuff. Regardless, those are an opportunity to get big rewards instead of having that kind of like heroic weekly thing going on. Yeah. That single one, you can just go in and do the heroic strike playlist and get some big rewards.
I like the emphasis on the sun in this layout as well.
Yeah,
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of the top thing that it's looking out over everything. So let's go check out the tower because there's a lot to see there. Okay, so here we are at the tower. At first glance, nothing too different, right?
Right.
But there is a lot of new stuff going on under the hood of the different vendors and vaults that you have access to here at the tower. Let's start with Banshee.
This is the guy that you rent weapons from, right?
Exactly. And it is Arms Day today, so we can take a look. And sure enough, here's some field test weapons. These are new weapons that we can pick up and we can take out into the field and see what they're going to be like, right?
They're 150, though, so they're not too strong.
No, they're definitely not like top-of-the-line things. You would not want to probably, unless you were just trying to test yourself, you wouldn't want to take these into a raid or anything. But they're kind of interesting. Like, we got this pulse rifle here. It's a Hake prototype. Makes precision shots with this weapon to gather data for Hake's armament scientist.
Who's Hake?
It's one of three. Omelon, Hake, and Suros are the initial sort of weapons manufacturers.
Oh, sure.
So we're going to go ahead and acquire this. And this is really, even though it looks like we just got a weapon, what we really got is a bounty, right?
Okay.
We're going to put that on and try it out. It says kills with this weapon grant enhanced motion tracker resolution for a short time. That's kind of an unusual little perk thing. And it's already kind of like leveled up here, as you can kind of see. And it's got the special pulse rifle thing for Hake, which is that it fires an additional projectile with each burst, 4 instead of 3. And I'll now be able to run around with this weapon, do some damage with it, gather data, and thereby get rep with the gunsmith.
Looks okay. I'm a Suros man myself.
I hear you. I think Suros is going to have some strong adherence, both for its cool style and the ability to really mod out those weapons. But we'll see how it all shakes out once things get going here next week.
I also noticed that Eris is not hanging out over where she used to.
No, we'll go see her in a second. But I wanted to show you, I'm tapping triangle right now and changing the displayed
sweet.
weapon.
I did not know that. That's
so
awesome.
that can be kind of a fun little thing.
It's just between your primary and secondary, not your heavy, right?
Looks like it is. I thought they were going to give the option to do heavy as well, but maybe not. The Cryptarch is the old cantankerous guy that he always is.
Master Raoul.
Nothing too crazy here. These are just some carryover things that I can equip. Right now, as you can see, he doesn't have much going on. You can expect that he's going to have even his own kind of like quest lines and things like that, or at least that's what I've been told, once the new content launches. The vault is a big deal for a lot of people. Lots more room in the vault. Basically twice as much room as you've had before to store up weapons, to store up armor, and to store general stuff. But frankly, a lot of this you're not going to need to store for reasons that are going to become apparent when we go look at the kiosks shortly.
It's to satisfy the hoarder instinct in all of us.
I think that's true. But while there's still going to be people who complain that they still fill up their vault, it's hard to like find fault here.
Yeah.
With basically a doubling of what was previously there.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about Eris before.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's go see her.
Hey.
She's moved. She's down here. You can see that old urn of sacrifice that some of you may have done that quest for, sitting right beside her. And she has changed the focus of her ire has switched over to Oryx. So some of her old quest lines are not going to still be there. You can still get Crota's Bane rank, I believe, by doing fights in Crota's End, like boss fights will get you rank, but you'll also get rank for some new quest lines connected to Eris that have not shown up yet. But there she is. We've got some new stuff for the Crucible. Like everybody, there's going to be eventually new Crucible items to get. But the big deal here for us in the Hall of Guardians is the exotic weapon blueprints.
I did not see this yet. Wow.
Exotic weapon blueprints carry over all the year 1 weapons that they're moving to year 2. I have most of the exotics. I think the only one I didn't pick up in year 1 was Necrochasm. And that one is not one of the ones that's coming forward. And so you can see here what is effectively the complete collection of exotics that are coming forward. Truth, Thunderlord.
Nice. No Galahorn.
Fourth Horseman, no Galahorn. Invective, Red Death, Bad Juju, Hawkmoon, Last Word, Suros Regime, and Monte Carlo. So I can't make these yet because they're year 2 versions that require legendary marks, which I don't have. But you can see here the Suros Regime actually has kind of a new look. It's got a new perk layout. I predict this is going to be a favorite of people, is the new Suros Regime. What with the new auto rifle buff, it should be pretty sweet.
Is the only way to unlock these is to have it in a year 1 mode?
Well, I think you'll still be able to get some of these. Like, I would bet that you'll see drops for Suros Regime and you'll get the year 2 version.
Sure.
But because I already have the year 1 version, it's letting me sort of build this once I have enough legendary marks.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm glad Last Word is there.
Yes. There's some cool things that are carrying over, and there's ones that I think a lot of people are going to miss, like Maida, which is definitely a favorite for folks. But there are some cool new scout rifles I've played with that I think people will like.
Great.
Same thing with exotic armor. This is not going to show you all the new exotic armor, just the ones carrying over for Titans. The biggest surprise for me is that they're carrying over Helm of Saint 14.
Love that one.
This is a helmet that has, in many ways, I think gets not overused. I mean, it's a great helmet, but it's really almost the only thing that a Defender Titan wears if they have it.
Definitely.
And so they're carrying it over, which is a big deal. No backup plans. Ruin Wings, I quite like that one. The thing I'm currently wearing, the Crest of Alpha Lupi, carries over. So, some cool stuff in there. And you can see here, I can also rebuild the year 1 versions of them, but I don't know.
So if you dismantle them, you can get them again
exactly.
here.
You can get that back. I do believe you'd have to re-level it, which is maybe not what everybody's looking for, but
right.
And here is my Titan Vanguard mentor, Zavala. He's got this new quest, so I'm going to go ahead and grab this stuff. Path of the Defender is I've currently got Defender equipped, I believe, which is why it's letting me do that. And it's telling me to go use Word of Dawn, grenades, and melee attacks to kill some people. This is the beginning of a quest line that's just meant to kind of familiarize people with the subclass. It frankly isn't going to be a huge deal for people who have already gone through all this content.
Right.
But keep in mind that there is going to be a dedicated quest line for the new subclasses for everybody. In the case of the Titan, that'll be the Sunbreaker.
Can't wait for that.
Yeah, man, that Hammer of Soul is so cool. I can't even tell you.
But I love being a Defender so much. I wonder if it'll be hard to choose.
Yeah, I think that in some ways that's what they want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's go look at a couple other things here in the Titan. At the tower.
Was that the postmaster that wanted you?
Yeah, the post. I think he just has some stuff that I haven't picked up from him because, again, until today, the vault has been a problem for me, and so there was stuff just waiting here that I was like, I don't have room to pick that up.
Where the special orders is right there on your right. Looks like there's a bunch of ghosts just hanging out.
Yeah, well, Tess is gone. One of the great mysteries is what happened to Tess.
Now there's like a kiosk or whatever in her place.
Exactly. But the really interesting kiosk we're going to go look at right now. There's 3 distinct kiosks, each of which there's one for emblems, one for shaders, and one for ships. So let's look at shaders first.
Wow.
So these are all the shaders. There's a lot of them, and a lot of them I can pick up because I've already acquired them, right? This one I've already gotten. This one I already have in my inventory, so it's not letting me take a second one. But here's one I don't have. Cyan Stars. This is a reward from Vanguard Strike. So it tells me how to get this one. If I really want this one, I know what I need to go do to get it. Right? You can see there's some cool ones here. This is from Cryptarch Packages. That's new.
So they're telling you it has to be a random drop. Is that the idea?
Well, presumably, yeah. I mean, we don't, in some cases, you don't totally know. Like this, I can just go buy right now from Pet Revenge. I just haven't, right?
But also, if you dismantle your shaders to make room, you don't lose them. You can pick them up again here, which is, I think, the coolest thing.
Emblems are here. Same deal. You got lots of emblems, cool new ones, as well as the old stuff that I've already picked up. I already had Corsair's badge, so I can dismantle it, like you said, get it back anytime I want.
That there was a Dark Below one that was a sword. That one's super cool.
Yeah. Ava Levante, the Guardian Outfitter, has some more options now. She's got a couple new cool shaders.
Ooh.
I like this one quite a bit, the Atlantean. If it'll load in here, can take a look how that one looks.
I might need to pick that one up.
Here, I'll change out my outfit here a little bit so that we can better see what some of that stuff looks like.
Or you are a striker or a defender?
Well, I play both, but I think right now I'm equipped out as a... so that's pretty cool looking, right? Yeah. I'm equipped out as a defender right now. You can see new little subclass
Yeah, I like that.
icons, right?
Another little subtle feature is you can not wear your helmet or be without your helmet in the menu there.
Exactly. I just changed that back over into social spaces. Now when I look here, you can see I've got it on, but you can change that back and forth. One other thing to look at over on this side of the tower is the changes to the speaker, who now has ghost shells to pick up. I can buy these right now, but unfortunately, a lot of them I'm not going to be able to use yet. And they're kind of pricey, so I might not do that at this moment. But you can see this one would be one once I power it up, detects and marks nearby helium filaments. So this is going to help me find the stuff I need to level up, which is great.
I bought this one, and I haven't been able to see quite yet like how it lights up helium filaments, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah. One other important thing that we can look at here, my Titan is my character who does New Monarchy stuff. And, oops, went the wrong way. And here we have Executor Hideo. And right away, he gives me the option to accept allegiance. And this is going to cost me 2,500 glimmer.
Holy crap.
And I can only do it once a week. So you can't just constantly change out your allegiance.
Oh, sure.
But this is the way that they get around having to wear a particular class item, which frankly, nobody really liked.
Yeah.
So let's do this. I want to pledge to New Monarchy. And now when I acquire rep, I will get that. And I can put on whatever class item I want. I don't have to wear something related to New Monarchy to get that rep.
But also you can switch, I guess, to other factions if you want after a week?
After a week, you totally can. Yep. And so if I went to any of the other factions, I would be able to do that. I just haven't.
Does that mean that after a week you have to re-up with New Monarchy? Otherwise it goes away?
I don't know the answer to that question, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I don't think so.
That would be nice if I didn't have to, because the only downside to that is, if you forget, then get a bunch of rep, then it doesn't go towards that.
Right. All right, so I'm running all the way over here.
Is there something new in the bar? 2 jukeboxes?
Well, there's Future War Cult and Dead Orbit over here, which are going to be very similar to what we just saw with New Monarchy. So we can skip those guys. But I did want to show you the ships.
There it is.
This works just like the emblems and the shaders, except I can look at stuff I don't have yet and lust after it, like this guy.
That's cool.
That is the ship I'm going to get if I beat the new raid on Heroic, which is probably a good ways off.
What is that? It's like you're sitting in goo in that ship.
I know. It's kind of screwed up, right?
Wow.
The other cool new ones like this.
Nice.
Sorry, this is Crota's End Heroic. You get Bane of Dark Gods.
And these are random drops, or you get it for sure?
I don't think they've said.
Okay.
These are ones that are familiar to people who've done the earlier raids. This is the new one. But there's also some new, like this one's a new one. You kind of check that out. So yeah, that is something that's pretty cool. And that gives you pretty much a pretty clear rundown of the tower stuff. But I want to go out and show you a couple other things that are actually in the missions.
All right.
Okay, so right now we are hopping into a mission that will be familiar to people who've played before. This is the first mission on the moon, and gives a quick option to just note that we've got a new ghost speaking.
Up here at night and wonder what the Hive were doing, but the only activity I could.
So this is Nolan North speaking, and it's also significant that as we go through these cutscenes, I should now be able to skip it.
All right.
It's a big deal, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for a lot of people who have played this content many, many, many times, the ability to skip past stuff is going to be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And so mainly I just wanted to kind of hop down here and show you that the old missions, it's not like they've rewritten all of the old content. I think a lot of people may have let their imaginations get away from them in thinking that they were going to completely rewrite the base game.
Right. It's still the same.
It's still the same, which is to say that, like, I think it's clarifying for a lot of people about what they didn't like was maybe a little bit less Peter Dinklage and a little bit more that the script for the base game was not what it maybe could be.
Right.
Nolan North, I think what I've heard so far, does an excellent job with the Ghost character. And I think when people hear him in the Taken King stuff, which is a much more sort of like fleshed out script, I think that they'll be excited about where the character is going.
Right. One thing I did notice, I did start a new character. When the first time you go back to the tower, you are told by the Vanguard people at the table, okay, great, welcome to the tower, but your ship needs a warp drive. You got to go back to the Cosmodrome and get one. So to me, it kind of explained a little bit more what my next step was, whereas in the vanilla game, it was just, hey, go to where we tell you.
Yeah. And by the way, I am trying out that Hake pulse rifle, which is kind of fun. And yeah, I bet if I go in right now, it's going to show me that there's been data gathered about it.
And then what are the perks on this one again?
Let's go look at this guy. As I get shot. Yeah, so I've got 10% already. So these are not going to take a super long time. But it's giving me better tracking and that kind of thing. It's not meant to be a weapon that you'd use a lot. It's like, do what you need to do with it and then turn that in and get rep.
And then when you turn it in, you get a different weapon, you said, right?
Not exactly. When you turn it in, you get rep. And then you can, once you get to a certain rep level with the gunsmith, then you can order arms day weapons. So let's hop out. One last thing before we close out that I want to show you guys. Okay, before we finish things out, I wanted to hop in and show off one cool thing that's going on just this week, which is that all of the 8 new maps, including the one we're on here, Vertigo on Mercury, which is actually my favorite, so good luck for us, are available to play. You can try out the new Rift game mode, see how that's going to work, and I think it's sort of like a try before you buy, at least on the actual Crucible stuff.
Yeah. What's the other map on Mercury called?
This is the only new map on Mercury.
Yeah, but
there's Burning Shrine.
Yeah, that's the one. I like that map.
Which is a really small, tight map that you either love or hate. I'm making the cardinal mistake right now, by the way, of trying to talk while I play Crucible.
Yeah. So this is Rift. Stop enemy runner.
Yeah. So basically, what happens in Rift is that there's this big center spot that spawns this kind of energy orb. Somebody from either team can grab it. And then that runner tries to get as close as they can to the enemy's rift, and basically slam dunk the thing into the enemy rift.
Sounds more like One Bomb in Halo.
Yeah, and so basically they are. I think people are still kind of trying to learn the map, but you can kind of see there's this one-way teleporter here, which I can't go through.
Why is that?
Well, it only goes from the other direction out. Okay. And so I can't go this way. I'm not doing many favors from my team right now by just running around and showing all this stuff.
That's okay. We don't need to help.
But you can kind of get a sense of the map and also of the game mode where you have all these different people who are trying to converge on that center spot and then take the ball and run it to the enemy rift. But the big takeaway here is that you have the opportunity, no matter whether you own the Taken King or not, you can go in and check this stuff out this week, decide if you like the new Crucible stuff, and once you're there, I think you have a good sense of, especially if you're a PvP player, whether these new maps are going to be for you. So with that, I think we'll close out. There's going to be a lot more to talk about when the Taken King is actually out next week, and we will have more content to share with you guys at that point. But in the meantime, thanks for watching Test Chamber, and we'll see you next time.